Across Nigeria and even beyond, there is a recurring pattern. When Igbo communities build wealth, expand businesses, develop infrastructure, or assert economic influence, the reaction is often mixed. Instead of simple admiration, progress is frequently met with suspicion, anxiety, or outright hostility. The question is, why does Igbo progress so often get framed as a threat rather than a contribution? This video is not about blaming any group, and it's not about playing the victim. It's about examining history, perception, economics, and human psychology, and understanding why success, especially visible success, can unsettle societies. To understand current perceptions, we need to briefly touch on history. The Igbo experience in Nigeria has been shaped by commerce, adaptability, and post-conflict survival, especially after the Civil War. With little state support afterward, many Igbo communities leaned heavily on trade, entrepreneurship, apprenticeship systems, and collective self-help. Over time, this created a reputation, often accurate, of economic resilience, but it also produced an unintended consequences: visibility. When success is visible and widespread, it becomes easy for others to interpret it through political or ethnic lenses, especially in societies where development is uneven. One uncomfortable truth is this: success that is quiet rarely attracts hostility. Success that is visible often does. Igbo progress is highly visible. Large markets, strong presence in multiple regions, expansive private investment, prominent buildings, estates, and businesses. Visibility invites scrutiny. And in a society with economic pressure, unemployment, and weak institutions, visible success can quickly be framed as domination even when it isn't. This isn't unique to the Igbo. It's a global pattern. Minority or mobile groups that succeed economically often attract suspicion. From Jews in Europe to overseas Chinese in South Asia. A major driver of resentment is zero-sum thinking. The belief that one group's progress automatically means another group's loss. In reality, economies don't work that way. Trade, investment, and enterprise expand opportunity, but perception doesn't always follow economics. When people feel left behind, they look for explanations. Ethnic narratives become convenient shortcuts. They are taking over. They control everything. Their success threatens others. These ideas gain traction, not because they are accurate, but because they simplify complex problems. Another factor is how stories are told. Success is often stripped of context. Years of risk-taking, failure, capital pooling, and informal learning get ignored. Instead, narratives focus on outcomes without process. Social media worsens this. Viral clips, headlines, and commentary rarely explains how progress happens. They amplify extremes, luxury, wealth, controversy without balance. Over time, this creates stereotypes that Igbo success is aggressive, excessive, or threatening, rather than earned and systemic. There is also a cultural misunderstanding. Igbo society places strong emphasis on individual effort, assertiveness, and visible achievement. In some cultures, modesty and understatement are preferred. When these differences clash, confidence can be misread as arrogance. Self-reliance becomes interpreted as refusal to integrate. Economic ambition becomes framed as political ambition. Pride in achievement becomes mistaken as superiority. These misunderstandings feed tension, not because anyone intends to harm, but because cultures communicate success differently. Political actors sometimes exploit these perceptions. Fear is a powerful mobilizing tool. Framing a successful group as a threat can unite others, distract from governance failure, and redirect public frustration. When development conversations turn ethnic, everyone loses. Instead of asking why systems fail to create opportunity broadly, attention shifts to who to blame, not who to fix. This is where progress becomes politicized rather than studied. A balanced conversation must also ask hard questions. Yes, some criticisms of how wealth is displayed, how urban planning evolves, or how markets expand without regulations are valid. These are governance and planning issues, not ethnic ones. Critique is healthy, but when criticism becomes generalized, when individual behavior is attributed to an entire group, it stops being constructive. Distinguishing behavior from identity is crucial. The real challenge Nigeria faces isn't Igbo progress or anyone else's progress. It's the failure to frame development as collective and inclusive rather than competitive. When infrastructure, education, and opportunity expand nationwide, success feels less threatening. When they don't, every visible gain feels like exclusion. Progress should be studied, replicated, and supported, not feared. Igbo progress is not a threat, it's a case study, one shaped by history, resilience, and adaptation. The danger lies not in success, but in how societies interpret success under pressure. If Nigeria wants unity and growth, it must learn to see progress wherever it appears, not as something to resist, but as something to understand and build up on. Because in the end, development is not a competition between groups. It's a shared journey, or it fails entirely.